Hello everybody, it's Crystal. Welcome to my channel, Bagoday Crochet. So today I have a crochet tutorial for you. I'm going to show you how to crochet. I'm calling it the wildflower square. Think of all the color combos that you can make for a wildflower. I mean, it's endless really. They're about 11 inches by 11 inches, or 11 and a half by 11 and a half, something like that. And these were both made with scrap yarn. So yes, I just used scrap yarn on them. All 4-weight scrap yarn. But yes, scrap yarn is what they were made with. Aren't they pretty? Yes, I think they're beautiful. I mean, wouldn't a huge blanket, or just a blanket in general, made with like all different colors of wildflowers, be so cool? That'd be very, very pretty. But you can use these for whatever you like, or you can just use the flower itself, leave the square part off of it, the leaves and whatnot. But yeah, this is what it looks like. You got some leaves down there, center. These are both the same. I just can't really see that black, but I think they're super cool and they're really pretty. Do you guys want to go ahead and get started and do it? Let's do it. Let's do the wildflower square. Here we go. And then I'm going to be using a size H, which is a 5mm crochet hook. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start with a slip knot on our hook. So I'm using yellow for the center of this one. That's where the black's all at. I'm going to be using yellow now. Alright. So yeah, you color combos wildflowers. Oh man, they got all different colors. All different colors. Be super pretty blanket. Anything actually be super pretty. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and start out with a chain of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to slip stitch into the first chain to form a ring. If you want to use the magic circle here, you can, but to tell you the truth, I like the look of I'll put a circle in the middle. But if you want it closed all the way, yes, by all means, you can. So I'm going to go ahead and start by chaining 1. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch. I'm going to be working 8 half double crochets through the center of the ring. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to go put my hook through the ring, grab my yarn and pull it back, and then I'm going to do a half double like normal. So I just yarn over and go through all the loops on my hook. So that's 1 half double crochet, and we want a total of 8. So again, we're going to yarn over and go put our hook through the ring, draw up, and yarn over and go through all 3. That's 2, 3, 4. I'm going to continue until I get a total of 8. All right, so I got my 8 half double crochets there, and I want to end this round by slip stitching into my first half double. I like to count back, so I'm making sure that I'm going into the right one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my 8th one, and because part of that's the chain and one of those is the chain one, so that's why it's always good to count back, because it's very important that you get into the 8th one there, or that we have 8. All right, slip stitch that shut, and that will end round 1. All right, so round 2, we're going to start the puff stitches on this round. So we are going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch. And we're going to go back into this stitch that we just slip stitched into. So what we're going to do for the puff is we're going to yarn over, go into that stitch that we just slip stitched into, and draw up a loop like that. We want to do that 4 times, so that counted as number 1. All right, again, yarn over into the same stitch, draw up a loop. That's 2 times. Yarn over, same stitch, draw up a loop. That's 3 times. One more time. Yarn over, go in, draw up a loop. That's 4 times. And you'll have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 loops on your hook. When you yarn over and go through all 9 like that. And then we're going to work a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3 as your puff. And we're going to do a puff in each of these 8 stitches. So we're going to go ahead and jump to the next one. And we're going to yarn over, go into it, and draw up a loop like that. And remember, we need to do that 4 times, and that would have been number 1. Yarn over and go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, that's 2 times. Yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, that's 3 times. Yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, that's 4 times total. 9 loops will be on your hook. Yarn over and go through all 9, just like that. And then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to repeat. Again, jump to the next stitch and puff. So we yarn over, go into the stitch, draw up a loop, 4 times total, that'd be 1. Yarn over, go into the same one, draw up a loop, there's 2. Yarn over, go into the same one, draw up a loop, that's 3. One more time, yarn over, go into the same one, draw up a loop, that's 4. You'll have 9 loops on your hook. Yarn over and go through all 9 like that, and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, so this is a pattern that we're going to repeat all the way around until we make it back here, and you finished out your 8th puff, your last one, and that's where I'll meet back up with you. All right, so I'm coming to the end of round 2, my puff stitch round. And if you look, there'll be 8 puffs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you won't have any stitches left. You want to make sure you chain 3 after your last one. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go ahead and end that round by slip stitching right up here into the top of our first puff. Just like that. Now we're going to keep this on our hook, and round 3 we will be working popcorn stitches. All right, so we are going to slip stitch into this first chain space here. Okay, and we're going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch. So this is how the popcorn is worked. We are going to work 4 double crochets through this chain space. So there's 1, 2, 3, and there's 4. Now we're going to pull the loop up and take our hook out, and we're going to put our hook into the first double crochet that we did, and then we're going to put that loop back on our hook and pull it through that first loop like that, pull it tight like that, and then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. There's your popcorn. We're going to go back into that same stitch and do another popcorn just like that. So we're going to put 4 double crochets into that same spot, the same chain space. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pull up a little bit like that so you don't lose that loop. Go over here to the first of the 4 doubles and put your hook in the first one, and then put it back on your main yarn, and then pull that loop through the first one, pull it tight just like that. Then there's your second popcorn. So we have a popcorn, chain 3, popcorn into that chain 3 space. All right, now we're going to chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to put this popcorn, chain 3, popcorn into each one of the chain 3 spaces from the previous row. So again, we chain 3, we're going to go into the next space and work 4 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pull up that one, take your hook out, go to the first double crochet and insert your hook, put that loop back on your hook like that, and pull it through the first one, pull it tight, and now you got a popcorn. You could slide it over a little bit, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and now you have to put another popcorn into this same spot. So each of the chain spaces gets 2 popcorns. So again, we're going to put 4 doubles. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull that up a bit. Go back into your first of the 4. Put your hook through that one, and then back on your main yarn. Pull that loop through, pull it tight, and there you go. You got your double popcorns with the chain 3 in between. And then we are going to chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3, and jump to our next chain 3 space and do the same. So this is what we're going to repeat all the way around. It's a popcorn, chain 3, and a popcorn in each one of the chain 3 spaces from the previous row. And we also put a chain 3 in between each of those. So again, I'm working a popcorn. I just did 4 doubles. Go back into the first one, put that loop back on your hook, pull it through, give it a tug, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slide that one over. We got to put another one in this space. So 4 double crochets again. There's 1, 2, 3, and there's 4. Pull it up, go into the first double crochet of the 4, put that loop back on, pull it through, pull it tight. So there you got your double popcorns there. So we chain 3 and start again into the next chain space. So we're gonna go ahead and repeat this all the way around, and I'll be back up with you when we make it back here, and up to our last chain space. All right, I'm coming to the end of round 3, our popcorn stitch round, and I just did my double popcorns here. So you want to chain 3, and we're going to end by slip stitching into the top of just right around here of our first popcorn. Doesn't have to be exact, somewhere right around here. And I'm going to change colors now. So I'm going to pull that through, tie that off. All right, and you should have, oh, don't know how that happened. You should have 16 chain 3 spaces now. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 of the double popcorns, or 16 total popcorns. All right. Okay, I'm going to go to the color that I'm going to use for the flower now. So whatever color you want to use for that. I'm going to be using the sparkly purple. And we'll go ahead and start round 4. Now you can start your yarn anywhere that you'd like. That is a chain space that is in between, or is the double V chain space. You know what I mean? So you see right here, we put the 2 double popcorn, I'm sorry, chain space. So that's where you want to start in. All right, so you just want to go ahead and pull your yarn through that space that you're starting in. Remember the space, the double pop, we put the 2 popcorns in the same chain space. That space above it. And we're going to chain 1. And that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And we're going to work 4 double crochets back into this chain space. So there's 1, 2, 3, and there's 4. Now you might need to slide them over like that. We're going to do a chain of 2, 1, 2, and we're going to work 4 more double crochets back through the space. And you want to make sure you don't go into this spot here. That's part of the popcorn. It'll close up whenever we put the other 4 double crochets into it, but make sure you don't go into it. So 4 double crochets back into the space. There's 1, 2, 3, and there's 4, like that. Now what we're going to do, we come here to where it was the chain 3 between the popcorn, little V popcorns, where we put 2 in the same chain space. Now what we're going to do is a post stitch. We're going to do a double triple front post around this puff stitch. I know it sounds long, but it's not. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to come all the way down to this puff stitch that's right below. Put our hook like that. I kind of squeeze mine like that. It kind of helps me keep a better grip. I'm going to grab my yarn and pull it around that puff stitch like that. Now, you'll have 5 loops on your hook. See that? You want to keep them as close to the front as possible so they don't get too far apart. We're going to yarn over and go through the first 2. We're going to yarn over and go through the next 2. Yarn over and go through the next 2. And yarn over and go through the remaining 2. There it is. So that was a front post, a double triple crochet around a puff stitch. Wasn't that hard, was it? No, we're going to do some more so we can practice. Now we're going to jump over here to the next chain 3 space. As you can see, it's the one that's between the 2 popcorns, and we're going to do this again. So we're going to put 4 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4, chain 2. And then if you need to slide it over, you probably will. 4 more, just remember not to go into that spot right there. 1, 2, 3, and there's 4. All right, now we're going to do the post double triple down here around this puff again. All right, so we're going to yarn over 3 times. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Come all the way down to this puff. Put your hook around it from the back to the front. Kind of keep it to the top of the puff. Grab your yarn and pull it around like that. And you got 5 loops. Try to keep them as close as possible. And you just yarn over and go through 2 at a time until there's no more left. So there's yarn over, went through the first 2. Yarn over and go through the next 2. Yarn over and go through the next 2. And the remaining 2. There it is. There it is. And this is what we're going to repeat all the way around. So the next chain 3 space gets the 4 doubles, chain 2, 4 doubles. There's 4, chain 2, set them over, and 4 more. Okay, now we're going to do our post stitch. So we're going to yarn over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Drop all the way down and go around the top. Put your hook behind and out the top. Keep it to the top of the puff if you can. Grab your yarn and pull it over. You got 5 loops, and what we do is we yarn over and go through 2 at a time. Yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the next 2, yarn over and go through the next 2, and then yarn over and go through the remaining 2. Here it is. Did it again. See, I guess it just gets easier. So we're just going to repeat this pattern all the way around. So the next one will get, the next spot is going to get the 4 doubles, chain 2, 4 doubles, and then we have to do our post in the next one right down here. All right, so we're going to repeat this, and I'll meet back up with you towards the end. All right, I'm coming to the end of round 4, and I just did my final post here. And I'm going to end by slip stitching into the first double crochet. All right, and you should have 8 petals now. So we'll be working with 8 petals. Those post stitches, once you get them done, they're pretty easy, aren't they? They're pretty cool too. All right, let's go ahead and start row 5. So we're going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and we're going to go back into that same stitch that we just slip stitched into. We're going to double crochet, but we're going to try to do it in that back loop if you can. Not the loop that's closest to you, but the one furthest away. If you can. It'd be hard on this first stitch because we slip stitched into it. If not, no one will notice. But there we go. Now we're going to work a double crochet in the back loop of every stitch until we get to the chain space. And when you make it to the chain space, we are going to go into it and we're going to work 2 double crochets into the space. There's 1 and there's 2, and then we're going to chain 2, and we're going to go back in and work 2 more double crochets into the same space. 1 and there's 2, and then we're going to come back down. We're going to work a double crochet in the back loop of every stitch until we get to our post stitch. So don't forget this guy right here. Sometimes he hides. We go in the back loop of him and double crochet and double crochet in the back loop of each of these until we make it to the post stitch here. Like that. And then when you get to the post stitch, we're going to do a post stitch around it, but we're just going to do a double crochet post stitch. So we're going to yarn over and we're just going to go around the same post there, drop a loop, and this do double crochet like normal, just like that. And this is what we're going to repeat all the way around. So again, we're going to work a double crochet in the back loop of these 4 stitches till we get to the chain space. Like that. And when you get to the space, we're going to work 2 doubles, chain 2 and 2 doubles. That's what goes in each space. 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles, and then again we work a back loop and work a double crochet in the back loop of these double crochets until we get to our post stitch. Make sure not to forget this first guy, he hides. Like that. And then when we make it here to the post stitch, we're just going to do a front post double crochet around it. So we yarn over, go around it like that, and drop a loop and do your double crochet like normal. So this is the pattern that we're going to repeat now for round 5 all the way around, and I will meet back up with you when we get back to our last petal. Alright, so I'm coming to the end of round 5, and I just did my final front post double around this post here, and I made it to the end, and I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into my first double crochet. And we're going to go ahead and start round 6. Now round 6 will be the last row for the flower portion. So what we're going to do is we are not going to do anything into this very first stitch. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the next stitch, but we're going to slip stitch into the back loop of it. Like that. And then we're going to chain 1. So it's kind of like we skipped that first stitch there. And then we're going to do a double crochet in the back loop of every stitch until we get to the chain 2 space again. Kind of like before. And then when you get to your chain 2 space, it'll be the same. 2 doubles, a chain 2, and 2 doubles. Like that. Now we're going to work a double crochet in the back loop of every stitch going down, except for the last double crochet that's next to the post. Don't do anything into that one. So never forget this first guy. He likes tied. Back loop, double crochet in the back loop of each one, except for the double crochet that's next to the post stitch. All right, when you get to the one that's next to the post stitch, we're going to be skipping that one and also skipping the one after the post stitch. So what we're going to do now is just a front post double crochet again around that post stitch. So we're going to yarn over. We're skipping this stitch here. Go around that post. Do your front post double crochet. And then we're going to skip that first stitch there after the post. And repeat what we just did by working a double crochet into the back loop of every stitch until we get to our chain 2 space. And then in the chain 2 space, it's 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. And then we're going to repeat again, a double crochet in the back loop of every stitch except for the last double crochet that's right before our post stitch. Okay, we're going to skip this stitch here, work a back or a front post double crochet around this post, and then we skip the one after. So go ahead and yarn over, skip this double crochet, go around the post of this post, front post double around it like that, and then we're going to repeat. We're going to skip the first double crochet after the post and work a double crochet in the back loop of each one until we get to our chain space. And then we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around for round 6 until we get back to our starting point. Let's repeat what we've been doing. Alright, so I'm coming to the end here, and I did my double crochets in the back loop and I have one left. I'm going to skip that one and I'm going to do my front post double crochet around this post stitch here, and then we're back at our starting point where we skipped that first one here. We're going to end by slip stitching into our very first double crochet. That ends round 6 and that ends the flower portion. So we can go ahead and tie that off and clip that tail. Now, if you just want to use the flower for something, by all means, go right ahead. That'd be cool. Use it for whatever you wanted to use it for. Alright, so now we're going to make some chain spaces so we can add some leaves. But I'm actually going to use the same color that I used for my flower. So instead of using green first, otherwise the green would bleed through the purple, or the flower color here. And to prevent that, I'm just going to make some chain spaces with the same color first. Alright, so I'm going to put a slip knot on my hook. Now we're going to count this as round 7. Now, chain spaces are going to be worked this spot right here, not this chain space here, but this one down here, see that? flip our work to from the behind and go through that chain space and then through your top chain space, but we're doing it from the behind, and back out the chain space on the other side and pull your yarn through that slip knot that's on your hook. All right, pull that tight. All right, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to go back into that space and single crochet. Okay, and that prevents any bleeding of, if I was to use the green, it would bleed through. So now you won't be able to see it. All right, now we're going to work a chain of 5, not a tight one, you know, just kind of a normal one, normal to loose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to come over here to where our post stitches are, but we're going to be doing it from the behind, and we need to do it on not this last row that we just did, but the row before, kind of like right here. Now this does not have to be exact, all right? It's just somewhere around here on the row 5 of the petal, or the flower here, along the post stitch. I flip it, and just somewhere around in here, we need to grab up a stitch, put your hook through somewhere right around there, right around the post, and single crochet. Like I said, it does not need to be exact, but just somewhere around this row where the post stitch is. Then we're going to chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember not to do that too tight. And now we're back here at the point of the petal, and we're going to do the same thing we did before. We had to do it from the behind. So we're going to go into the chain 2 space at the top and back out the second chain 2 space and single crochet into that spot like that. Chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Jump over here to where our post stitches are. So I'm from the behind, somewhere around this area right here. We kind of find a couple loops that we can go through to get it sturdy. There we go. See, doesn't have to be perfect, just and single crochet into it, just so it's along this row and close to being even with the post stitch. All right, then we're going to repeat this all the way around. Chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're at our petal again. So we have to work it from the behind like always. We go into that top chain 2 space, and we're going to hook back out the next chain 2 space and single crochet into that spot, and then we chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and again somewhere around this spot here of our post stitch, but worked from behind. Just grab up a couple stitches here and single crochet, just like that, and repeat. Chain 5 again, and then we do the single here from the back side and the single right about here, but from the back side. Chain of 5 in between each of them. All right, I'll see you back at our starting point. All right, I made it back around to my first chain space here. So I chained or single crocheted back here, chain 5, and here you can see where we started. So I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into that first single crochet, and then you should have 16 chain 5 spaces, and then you can tie this off. That went in round 7. So we're not going to be using that color anymore, well, unless you want to, but I'm going to switch over to the color that I'm going to use for my leaves. So that's what it looks like so far. So we're going to be working in these chain spaces here. So whatever color that you want to use for your leaves. Now we need to start. Okay, we don't want to start at, let's see. We want to start, the leaves are going to be worked over 2 chain spaces, okay? and we want to start where the chain spaces that are from point to point. So like this one and this one. We don't want to start where our chain spaces are going to be on each side of a point, okay? So on this, each side of a point on the same petal. We don't want to start there. We want to start where there's a chain space on this side of this petal and the chain space on this side of this petal. All right, so start there. And we're going to go ahead and start off. We're going to chain one, which does not count as a stitch. So we're going to be working a double crochet 3 together for our first leaf. So we're going to yarn over, go through the chain space, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook. You want to do that 3 times, and that would be number 1. Again, yarn over, go through the space, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. That's 2 times. Yarn over, go through the same space, drop a loop, yarn over, go through the first two. That's 3 times. And then you have 4 loops. We're going to yarn over and go through all 4. So that is a double crochet 3 together. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Like that. And you can slide this over if you like a little bit. Now we're going to do a triple crochet 3 together into the same chain space. So this time we're going to yarn over twice, go into the chain space, drop a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on our hook. And yarn over and go through the next 2 loops on our hook. So we need to do that 3 times. That was 1. So again, we're going to yarn over twice, go into the same space, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and yarn over and go through the next 2. So there's 2 times. One more time. Yarn over twice, same space, drop a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the next 2, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through all 4 loops, and that was a triple crochet 3 together. And now we need to chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3. Now in the single crochet there that you can see, it's kind of lined up with the one that's lined up with the post. We are going to be doing a double triple 3 together. So we're going to yarn over 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and go into that single crochet. And drop a loop. We're going to yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the next 2, yarn over and go through the next 2, and leave those 2 on your hook. We're going to yarn over 3 times again. 1, 2, 3, go into the same spot, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over and go through the next 2, yarn over, go through the next 2, and leave those loops on your hook. Again, yarn over 3 times, same spot, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the next 2, yarn over and go through the next 2. So we've done that 3 times, and we have 4 loops that remain. We're going to yarn over and go through all 4 loops. And that was a double triple crochet 3 together. That's it. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. In our next chain space over here, we're going to do this again, but kind of in the opposite direction. So instead of doing the double crochet 2 together first, we're going to do the triple crochet 3 together first. So we're going to yarn over twice, go into the chain space, drop a loop, yarn over, going through the first 2 and the next 2, yarn over twice, go into the space, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 and the next 2. One more time, yarn over twice, go into the same space, drop a loop, yarn over, go right through the first 2, the next 2, 4 loops remain, yarn over and go through all 4. There's your triple crochet. 3 together, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and now we're going to end our leaf section by doing a double crochet. Double crochet 3 together into the same chain space. So we got to do that 3 times. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 loops, yarn over and go through all 4. So that's the leaf section there. We're going to have 4 of these leaf sections made just like this. But before we go into another leaf section, we have to do a chain space section over these next 2 chain spaces. So we're going to go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to single crochet into the next chain space 1 time, like that. Then we're going to chain 3 again. 1, do it loosely, 2, 3, and we're going to single crochet into the next single crochet. And then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to single crochet into the next chain space, like that. And then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now over the next 2 chain spaces, we're going to work our leaf section again. So in the next chain space, we're going to do a double crochet, 2 together, or 3 together, I'm sorry. That's 1. Did that twice. 3 times. 4 loops, yarn over and go through all 4. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do a triple crochet 3 together. So we have to yarn over twice, go into the same chain space, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and yarn over and go through the next 2. When you do that 3 times, that was 1. Yarn over twice, drop a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 and the next 2. So that's 2 times. Yarn over twice, same space, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the next 2. You have 4 that remain. Yarn over and go through all 4. That's your triple crochet. 3 together. Now we're going to chain 3. Now into the single crochet, we're going to do our double triple 3 together. So we have to yarn over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Go into the single crochet, drop a loop, and we yarn over and go through 2 at a time. There's 2 there. Yarn over and go through the next 2, and yarn over and go through the next 2. Leave those, and again we're going to yarn over 3 times. Go into the same spot, drop a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, the next 2, and the next 2. That was done that twice. We need to do it 1 more time. Yarn over 3 times, go into the same spot, drop a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, the next 2, and the next 2. 4 loops remain. Yarn over and go through all 4, like that. And that is the double triple crochet 3 together. Then we're going to chain 3, and we're going to do work in this next chain space over here. We're going to do the triple crochet 3 together, and then the double crochet 3 together. So triple, we got to yarn over twice, drop a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 and the next 2, yarn over twice, draw up, yarn over, go through the first 2 and the next 2. 1 more time, yarn over twice, go through, draw up, yarn over the first 2, yarn over, go through the next 2. 4 loops remain, yarn over and go through all 4, chain 3. And now we got to get our double crochet 3 together into the same chain space. So yarn over, drop a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. Do that 3 times. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. 4 loops, yarn over and go through all 4. So we have completed another leaf section. All right, now we have to work our chain spaces over these next chains, 2 chain spaces here. So we're going to chain 3 and single crochet into the next chain space. Easy. Chain 3. Remember, you don't want to get these chain spaces too tight. Single crochet into the next single crochet and chain 3 and single crochet into the next chain space and chain 3, and that is our chain space section area. Now we jump over here to the next 2 chain spaces and we make our leaf section again, and then once that's done, over these 2 we do our chain space section, and then the next 2 will be our leaf section and then our chain space section, and we'll be back at our starting point. So we already got 2 sets of leaves, so the tall leaf is what's going to form the corner of our square whenever we get that started. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and I'll be back up with you at the beginning. Alright, so I'm coming to the end here, and I just did a single crochet into my last chain space section. So what I'm going to do is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to end by slip stitching into the top of my very first double crochet, 2 together, and then I'm going to switch colors to my granny square color. So if it looks a little funky like right now, it will. You gotta work with it a bit. Stretchies here. And now we got kind of a square going, I guess, a bit, maybe. Alright, now you get what color you want to use for your granny square or the background. I'm going to be using white like I did here. Hopefully I have enough. Now, you want to start in the chain 3 space before your tallest leaf. So before any of them, but the one that's before the double, triple, 3 together. Alright, so right here, I'm going to go ahead and start my yarn. Okay, chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. I'm going to work 3 double crochets into that stitch. So there's 1, 2, and there's 3 into that chain space. I'm sorry. Now, the tall leaf is going to be the corner. There's 4 tall leaves, and each of those are going to be the corner space. So we're going to go into the top of the stitch, and we're going to do 2 triple crochets, triples, right here into the top of the stitch. So there's 1 triple, go into the same spot and do another triple, and we're going to chain 2 and go back in and work 2 more triples. So that for this row, particular row here, I forgot what row we're on, but that's the corner there. We just formed a corner at the top of that tall leaf. All right, and now we're going to repeat what I'm getting ready to do all the way until we get to our next tall leaf. What we're going to do is just be working 3 doubles in every chain 3 space all the way until you get to your next tall leaf. So 3 doubles into the next chain space, that, jump to the next one, 3 doubles, oops, sorry about that. There's 3. Next chain space, 3 doubles. Now we're going around the leaf chain space, not the chain space that we put the leaves on. Not the flower color chain space, but the leaf color chain space. 3 into the next. Jump to the next one, 3. Next one, right here, 3. And the next one here, 3. I'm going to try to hide that tail as I go. And 3 into the next one, which is right here. So we're at the chain space right before our tallest leaf. So 3 into that one. So you can see that we put 3 doubles into every single chain 3 space. And then when we get to our tallest leaf, we're going to do the same, excuse me, do the same thing that we just did at our last tall leaf. We're going to form our corner by going into the very top of it and working 2 triples, a chain 2, and 2 triples. So there's 1 triple, 2 triples, chain 2, go back into that same spot and work 2 more triples. So we now have 2 corners made. So we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around. We're just working, remember, 3 double crochets in every single one of these chain spaces that we worked with the green yarn or our leaf color yarn until we get to the tallest leaf. At the tallest leaf, you go into it and you work 2 triples, chain 2, and 2 triples. We're going to repeat this all the way around until we get back to our starting point. Alright, so I've made it all the way around. It's okay if your piece is looking funny. Alright, we're gonna, it'll look normal, I hope. So we're gonna go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first double crochet. Now I'm gonna keep this color in my hook. I'll go around again. This time it's just gonna strictly be double crochets. I'm not gonna do triple crochets in the corner. So I'm gonna chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and I'm gonna go back into that same stitch and double crochet, and then I'm going to put 1 double crochet into every stitch until I get to my chain 2 space, which will be coming right up here. Alright, here's my chain 2 space. Now each of the chain 2 space will always be the same. They'll get 2 doubles, 1, 2, a chain of 2, and 2 more doubles into the chain space, just like that. Now what we're going to do is work around just putting 1 double crochet into every single stitch until we make it to our next chain 2 space. Alright, so just working 1 double into every stitch until we make it to our next chain 2 space. And when we get to our next chain 2 space, or the corner, it's 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. So this row is just double crochet row. Nothing but double crochets, and then the chain 2s at the corners. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do this all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at our starting point. Alright, so once you make it back around to your starting point, you want to go ahead and end by slip stitching into your first double crochet. Now you can continue around like that as many times as you'd like if you want to make your square bigger. I'm going to go ahead and tie mine off. Now you have to kind of fiddle with your square bit to get it looks good. I like it. I think it looks good. Now if you want to go around it in single crochet, like I did on this one, you definitely can. So I'm going to start in any stitch that's right after a chain 2 space, right after it. I'm going to pull my yarn through. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to go back into that same stitch and single crochet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way until I get to my chain 2 space. So this is the finishing edge. You don't have to do this, you can. So 1 single in every stitch, and I'll meet back up with you at our chain 2 space. Alright, when you make it to the chain 2 space, it's very similar than the previous row, but instead of doing double, we're just going to do singles. So in the chain 2 space, we're going to work 2 single crochets. There's 1, and there's 2, and we're going to chain 2, and go back in that same chain 2 space and work 2 more single crochets. There's 1, and there's 2, and that's what every corner is going to get. And then we're going to continue around putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. Don't forget this first guy, he likes to hide. So this is the repeat now for the last round. 1 single crochet into every stitch, and 2 singles, chain 2, and 2 singles in each of the chain 2 spaces. Alright, so I'll meet back up with you when we make it back around to our starting point. Alrighty, once you make it back around to your starting point, you want to go ahead and end by slip stitching into your first single crochet, and then you can tie that off, and you want to hide any remaining tails that you might have wandering around. And then the one I just did. But that's it. After you get all your tails done, it's finished. Super cute. So that's it, like I said. I might have to fix a few of these leaves because we crunch them up because it's kind of a big square. But yeah, that's it. That's all there is to it. I think it's so cute. I like it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you make this, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see what you make with it. Or if you just make the square, I'd love to see what colors you choose. You can show me on my Bagoday Crochet Facebook page. There's a link to that below in the description box. And don't forget to give this video a like. Comment below if you want. That always helps me out. And until next time, I'll see you on my next video. Bye, guys.